Emotional availability. Some people talk about it as if it is something we are either born with or born without, like eye color or height, as if the heart comes pre-programmed with a fixed set of capacities. Others insist it is a choice, something we learn, something we practice, something we grow into. And when the conversation lands in the sacred, complicated, beautiful space of marriage, the question deepens. Are we emotionally available because it is in our nature, or because we choose to be? And if we feel ourselves withdrawing, shutting down, or struggling to connect, is that a sign of who we are at our core, or a signal that something inside us is asking to be seen, understood, and healed? Pause. Let the question breathe for a moment. Because this question is not just academic. It is deeply personal. It is the kind of question that touches the way we love, the way we argue, the way we share space with another human being. It touches the late-night moments when we stare at the ceiling and wonder why it feels hard to talk to the person lying right beside us. It touches the mornings when silence feels louder than words. It touches the story of what it means to be a partner in life. Emotional availability is not something we think about when love is easy. When love is new, when spark and excitement carry us, when we feel seen without even trying, emotional availability feels natural. It feels instinctive. But life does what life always does. It brings stress. It brings tiredness. It brings old wounds to the surface. It brings responsibilities that strain patience, time, and energy. It brings misunderstandings, disappointments, and moments where we question the other person's intentions. And suddenly we begin to realize that emotional availability is not simply something we have. It is something we must choose, again and again, even when choosing it is the harder path. But before we talk about choice, let's honor the truth of our nature. Some people really do come into relationships with more ease when it comes to expressing what they feel. Maybe they had nurturing childhoods. Maybe vulnerability was safe in the home where they grew up. Maybe they saw emotional expression modeled with gentleness and honesty. If that was your story, then emotional openness may feel familiar. It may feel natural to you. And that is a beautiful gift. But for others, emotional openness does not feel natural at all. It feels risky. It feels threatening. It feels like stepping into a room without armor. Some people grew up needing to be strong, silent, composed. They survived environments where feelings were dismissed, punished, or ignored. They learned to protect themselves by shutting down. They learned that silence keeps the peace. They learned that needing people leads to disappointment. So emotional availability becomes not just difficult, but foreign. This is where nature meets history. And history meets choice. Because marriage is not a neutral space. It is an emotional mirror. It reflects back to us the parts of ourselves we have learned to hide from the world. It exposes how we respond to stress, how we handle conflict, how we deal with fear, how we show love, and how we withdraw from love. Marriage makes emotional availability important not because it is easy, but because living closely with another human being requires us to show our hearts, even in the moments when our hearts feel unsure. So is emotional availability nature or choice? It is both. It is the intersection of who we have been, who we are becoming, and who we decide to be when we stand hand in hand with someone who hopes we will let them in. Emotional availability in marriage is not automatic. It is not guaranteed by vows, rings, or promises. It is not something that magically appears after the honeymoon phase. It must be cultivated. And it must be chosen even when we do not feel like choosing it. Pause with that thought, because it is one of the hardest truths about love. There will be days when love looks less like passion and more like patience. Days when love looks less like confidence and more like courage. Days when love looks less like nature and more like effort. And on those days, emotional availability becomes a daily decision. A decision to show up. A decision to communicate. A decision to give what we have even when we fear it may not be enough. But choosing emotional availability does not mean being perfect. It does not mean always knowing what to say. It does not mean never shutting down or never feeling overwhelmed. It simply means we do not stop trying. It means we stay in the conversation. It means we stay within reach. It means we create a space where our partner does not have to guess what is happening inside us, because we are willing to share the truth, even if we have to share it slowly. One of the biggest mistakes couples make is believing that emotional availability means constant emotional presence. But availability is not the same as perfection. It is not a flawless performance. It is the willingness to return, to repair, to reconnect after moments of distance. Distance is human. Disconnection is normal. What matters is the return. And the return is always a choice. Some people avoid emotional connection in marriage because they fear conflict. They believe that if they speak openly, they will create tension. They choose silence, hoping it will keep the peace, but silence only pushes peace farther away. Some avoid emotional connection because they fear rejection. They fear that if they reveal their true feelings, they will be misunderstood or dismissed. And some avoid connection because their emotional world feels chaotic inside, and they don't know how to share something they barely understand themselves. But here is the truth: emotional availability is not about having everything figured out. It is about being willing to explore what is happening inside you and to let your partner come along for the journey. It is about replacing secrecy with honesty, and fear with trust. It is about choosing the bravery of communication over the comfort of withdrawal. When we think emotional availability is nature only, we excuse ourselves from growth. We say, "This is just who I am," or, "I'm not the emotional type," or, "I don't know how to express feelings." And while those statements may describe your starting point, they do not have to define your ending point. Because emotional connection is a skill. A learnable one, a practicable one, and marriage gives us countless opportunities to practice. Think about the moments that truly strengthen a marriage. They are not the grand gestures. They are not the perfect vacations or the flawless celebrations. The strongest marriages are built in the small moments when two people dare to be real with each other. When they talk through fear instead of hiding it. When they express needs instead of expecting the other person to read their mind. When they show vulnerability instead of pretending to be strong all the time. Nature sets the foundation. Choice builds the home. And the home of marriage is either built from emotional presence or emotional distance. One of the greatest acts of love in marriage is learning your partner's emotional language. Not everyone expresses love or fear or hurt the same way. Some speak openly. Some speak quietly. Some need time. Some need reassurance. Some need space. Some need closeness. Emotional availability means learning not only how to express your own feelings, but how to receive your partner's. It means listening with the goal of understanding, not defending. It means asking questions with curiosity, not suspicion. It means inviting your partner into your world rather than expecting them to magically know what you feel. It means offering your own heart without demanding perfection from theirs. Emotionally available partners are not people who never experience conflict. They are people who do not hide from it. They bring their emotions to the table instead of burying them beneath resentment. They choose openness instead of concealment. They choose connection over pride. They choose love over fear. But let's be honest, there are moments when we do not want to choose emotional availability. Moments when we are tired, frustrated, hurt, or overwhelmed. In those moments, emotional availability feels like too much. It feels easier to shut down, to numb, to distract ourselves, to avoid the conversation. And in the moment, avoidance feels like relief. But avoidance also builds walls. And walls do not protect marriages. Walls isolate them. Many marriages do not fail because of a lack of love. They fail because of a lack of emotional access. The love is there. The affection is there. The desire is there. But the emotional connection becomes blocked by fear, habit, silence, or pride. Emotional availability is the key that keeps love accessible. Without it, love slowly suffocates. So if emotional availability is so important, how do we cultivate it? We start by telling the truth. Not the dramatic truth, not the embellished truth, but the honest truth about what we feel and what we need. Honesty is the foundation of emotional availability. And honesty requires courage. It requires saying the vulnerable thing instead of the safe thing. We also cultivate emotional availability by practicing presence. Presence is not about being physically near. Presence is about being emotionally attentive. It is the difference between hearing and listening. It is the difference between existing beside someone and engaging with them. Presence is a gift we give with our attention, our empathy, and our willingness to pause and understand. We cultivate emotional availability by healing what has hardened our hearts. That may mean reflecting on old experiences that taught us to hide. It may mean unlearning the belief that vulnerability is weakness. It may mean facing the wounds we carry from our families, our past relationships, or our own mistakes. Healing is not easy, but it is worth it. Because a healed heart loves differently. A healed heart connects differently. We cultivate emotional availability by choosing the difficult conversations. Every time we avoid a conversation, we deepen emotional distance. Every time we embrace a conversation, even awkwardly, we grow emotional closeness. The couples who last are not the couples who avoid conflict, but the couples who fight for resolution. We cultivate emotional availability by practicing empathy. Empathy softens the harsh edges of misunderstanding. Empathy turns arguments into conversations. Empathy turns blame into partnership. When empathy enters a marriage, everything changes. We cultivate emotional availability by showing gratitude. Gratitude opens the heart. Gratitude shifts focus from what is lacking to what is present. Gratitude makes the relationship feel safe, appreciated, seen. And where there is safety, emotional availability grows naturally. And most importantly, we cultivate emotional availability by making the daily choice to love not just with affection, but with vulnerability. Marriage demands vulnerability. Not weakness, but openness. Not perfection, but effort. Vulnerability is the bridge between two worlds. It is what transforms two individuals into one partnership. So the question remains, emotional availability, nature or choice? It begins as nature. It becomes choice. And in marriage, it must remain a choice we return to again and again. Pause and let that settle, because it is a powerful truth. Emotional availability is not a fixed trait. It is a posture. It is a practice. It is a commitment to connection. It is the courage to be seen. It is the willingness to invite your partner into your internal world instead of leaving them standing outside, trying to guess what is happening behind your silence. Even the most emotionally expressive person must choose availability. Even the most emotionally reserved person can learn availability. It is not a gift given to some and denied to others. It is a capacity within us all. And marriage gives us daily opportunities to expand that capacity. There is no marriage where emotional availability is effortless every day. There is only the marriage where both people choose to show up even when they feel imperfect. And that choice creates something powerful. Something lasting. Something that can withstand storms and overcome distance. In the end, emotional availability is the way we say to our partner, "You matter. Your feelings matter. Our connection matters." It is the way we show our commitment not just through what we do, but through who we are willing to become. Marriage is not about two perfect people finding each other. It is about two imperfect people choosing each other. And emotional availability is the daily expression of that choice. It is the work that keeps hearts open, keeps love alive, and keeps connection growing. So when you find yourself asking whether emotional availability comes from nature or choice, remember this. Your nature may shape your starting point, but your choices determine your relationship's destination. Choose to be present. Choose to be honest. Choose to be brave. Choose to be open. Choose to return, even after moments of retreat. Choose connection over comfort. Choose vulnerability over silence. Choose love over fear. Because emotional availability is not something life gives you. It is something you courageously create. And every time you choose it, you breathe life into your marriage. You strengthen the bond that holds you together. You build a love capable of lasting beyond circumstances, beyond challenges, beyond imperfections. You choose to love not just with your presence, but with your heart fully accessible. And that choice, repeated again and again, creates a marriage where both people feel seen, valued, understood, and deeply, deeply loved.